JMRI has a schematic on it. You could also have switch stands, and on the switch stands could be the number.
Switch stands. What do those look like?
I don't have a representation. Whatever the railroads would use as switch stands. You can mark your switches. I'll take it to the very extreme. Dewey always jokes with me about how we will have holographic images where you'll put on glasses, you'll walk in, you'll see right above. I mean, that's how silly it can be.
Yeah.
I mean, it really couldn't do that. But, you know, yes, you could put numbers here, or you could have... I made the numbering system for ours so that you should know. We have 5 districts. Union Terminal is District 2. It's on Booster 2. Okay? So all switches in Union Terminal will begin with the number 2. This switch is not in Union Terminal. So if you try to access this switch and you press the number 2 as the first digit of its accessory number, or switch number, it's not going to be the right switch. Everything beyond there is in Union Terminal. We've got clear maps of what is Union Terminal versus IZR. Not everybody knows it yet. Eventually that's the way people will know. Once you're in Union Terminal, we are going from an east to west direction. So the first switches on the main line in the east side begin with a 0, 2, 0. The west switches, these ones, begin with a 1, 2, 1. The switches on the ladder that turn into Union Terminal are switch 2, 2. Switches inside of Union Terminal are 2, 3. Coach yard, 2, 4. Beyond that, because Alcoa is also in District 2, that will have designations 2, 5, and 2, 6, I think, for switch numbers. As long as you come up with a numbering schematic that makes sense to you, there's no reason why you should have to...
And the BDL 168, are the blocks on the red rail or on the black rail? The red.
The black is considered our common, but we're not running a common.
Right.
In District 1, the black is all common. In District 2, the black is all common. The black between District 1 and District 2 is not common. That's what caused most of our problems before, was because they were trying to do a common layout, and it wasn't working.
Okay. And to set up your blocks, you just cut through the rail at some point, wherever you want the beginning and ending point to be, and then just drop
If you didn't cut, you would have to use a rail insert. The
Right.
preference would be a rail insert. And you want to insulate. You don't have to insulate both, but for our purposes, we're double gapping it.
But you don't need to. You really only have to cut one rail.
You only have to cut the rail that is being...
And then that's 26 gauge that you do the...
We're feeding the 26 gauge. We're not running the 26 gauge for longer than equipment. If the BDL is powering a district, so for example where this Amtrak train is, the block begins here, and the block ends at about where the middle of the end of the Amtrak train is. I could run one feeder to here, but instead I have at least 2 feeders, and feeding the feeder is a 14 gauge wire that goes to the BDL, and those feeders are tapping off. It's a bit overkill, but it allows for a short circuit protection to occur, because if you don't have, if you run 26 gauge wire from the BDL is probably around where those high-rise buildings are. If you run, let's say I have a feeder here. If I run a feeder 26 gauge from here over to there, the resistance between the BDL and here, and then finally after the circuit breaker, will eradicate the ability for the circuit breaker to trip, because it won't recognize what's going on. Another problem that we have.